I'm Ronnie Tucker. I'm the creative director.
My name is Gerald Poon, and I am the senior designer on the game.
So Bleeding Edge, we got a bunch of people with a bunch of robot parts all beating the crap out of each other. So what exactly is going on here? Like, what's the story behind Bleeding Edge?
You mean like the actual backstory of the world and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 2055. Cybernetics are kind of a mainstream thing, but it's kind of dominated by big corporations and stuff, right? So Demon, he's lost his mum to this corporation, so he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder about them. So he breaks in, he does this massive hack, he releases like this skeleton key of information that basically removes the DRM from this big corporation's cybernetics, and he makes it free for everyone. And in doing so, he kind of inadvertently starts this like little fight club called Bleeding Edge. So these guys have come together initially to work on cybernetics together, to mod themselves. They kind of share cybernetics in common. That's what brought them together. But then in the augmenting of themselves, they decided, well, we need to test out who's got the best augments, see like what's cool. So they just start fighting each other. And that's kind of the backstory of how the Bleeding Edge gang kind of gets together, if you like.
Awesome. That's almost like Dragon Ball. That sounds like I know there's talking with other members of the staff. I know there's a lot of anime influence, but that definitely sticks to that anime vibe that you guys have going.
Yeah, actually, I haven't watched Dragon Ball, so I don't know the backstory of that. But yeah, anime's definitely been an influence for us. Yeah.
That's going to be the big controversy. Like, oh, people are going to see this and be like, oh, she's never seen Dragon Ball. Nah, hopefully not. But so you've decided, like, what came first, like the character designs and the world design, or the gameplay? Like, were you like, we're going to make a 4-on-4 like competitive style game, or were you like, oh, these robots look awesome, what could we do with this?
Okay, so I'll start with the genesis of the idea, and then Gerald can talk to you about how we kind of went from there. But the genesis of the idea was Ninja Theory's good at third-person action combat, right? Been making it since Heavenly Sword, Enslaved, DMC, whatever. Personally, I really like to work on action combat. That's like my passion to work on. But at home, I like playing competitive team multiplayer games. So the genesis of the idea was like, where is this game with these two ideas combined? I felt like that didn't exist, so we're like, all right, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can make that game.
Yeah, so the core of the game is third-person action combat with multiplayer, and that was pretty much the mantra of the game. So, that's basically the one pillar, right? So that can't change. We knew that's the type of game we wanted to make, but everything else around it is something that we just sort of got to this point through iteration and playtesting. So I'm not sure if you know, but the game actually started as a MOBA. It was a 5v5. Minions, lanes, towers. You had a core on both sides of the map, and you had to destroy the core to win the game. But then, just through testing and through iteration, we sort of stripped away a lot of that sort of more high-level strategic element of the game, because we found that once the gates open in that MOBA mode, instead of going down the lanes as you normally do in a MOBA, everyone just ran to the middle and just had a big fight. And people just did that over and over. So we thought, well, if that's what people want to do, then let's enable that. So, we tried a few game modes. We tried a few game modes that were a little bit more sort of complex. But then, we sort of came to the conclusion with these game modes because they just felt sort of right. The right level of strategic element to it, lots of fighting. And the 4v4 as well, it was just sort of through playtesting, 4v4 in a big team fight just felt about right. 5v5 felt a little bit too messy, so that's kind of how we got to where we are in the gameplay sort of style.
That's awesome. You guys have a lot of characters with a lot of different personalities, big personalities that sort of inform their abilities. Like, what's it like trying to balance something like that?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think the characters probably have big personalities because there's a lot of people on the team with a lot of big personalities. That definitely comes out when we play test the game. We're trying to balance stuff. So the first thing we do when we put a new character in is we play test it ourselves, and that is basically the team who's doing that. I mean, there's only been an average of about 15 people on the project, and for the longest time we had no QA at all. So we are the kind of the players of the game and the makers of the game. And we have a channel on our Slack that's just called Saltblade. So every time we put a new character in the game, everybody that's just played it will get on that channel, and you'll get, oh, this is OP and that's OP and this character's too strong or this character's too weak. So we start with that, and a lot of people on the team are very vocal about what they like. And then we back that up with like a bunch of analytics in the game that we record. So when people are talking about this is strong, that's strong, we can go and compare that with the analytics and then try and find where the actual problems are. Because sometimes people will say Buttercup's too strong, right? We'll look at the analytics and it looks like actually her win rate's kind of good and we're quite happy with her. But then when we dig down a bit more, maybe we have a look at the different kind of bandings and we see actually new players are having a hard time with Buttercup because they haven't kind of gotten used to the fact that she doesn't get hit stunned yet. So then we're like, okay, so that's a different problem. It's not a balancing problem. It's more of an education problem. So we use kind of a mix of the analytics and feedback from like the community and feedback from the team to balance stuff out.
You've really got to like work as a team here. Like the minute you try and like lone wolf it, I nosedived. Like the game totally took a different turn for me. I couldn't keep up, so to speak. Like that's prevalent in other games, but here it seems to really like change the way that the game is flowing and who's got like the momentum on their side like really quickly.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely part of the game, and that's something that we try to educate players that it's something that you want to do, stick with the team. So, when we had the first the technical alpha, a lot of the feedback was that people didn't really understand how to play the game. So a lot of the stuff that we did as a consequence of that was we completely redid the tutorial. We instead of just teaching you the buttons how to play the game, we had specific parts of the tutorial that mentioned that staying as a team is really important. We sort of added sort of death tips, like contextual. So if you die a couple of times in a row and we know that you're far away from your team, we sort of mentioned that, hey, you should probably stick together as a team. There are some, I think as you play the game and you get better at it, you sort of understand when you can break away and when you shouldn't. There are certainly times when it does make sense. So, during the collection phase in that Power Cells game mode, splitting up to collect the cells is good, but you also have to have awareness during that phase. If two people are coming towards you, you have to, you sort of have to almost have a third eye to see that coming before it happens. Going off to get a power up by yourself at certain times is the right thing to do. So I think as you play the game, you start to understand when you should break off and when you shouldn't, if that sort of makes sense.
Are you guys going to be implementing anything for just kind of like let's say you've got players that just keep deciding that like they're going to peace out, they're going to lone wolf, and like their teams keep like losing because of them? Are there going to be things implemented in order for people to kind of be like, hey, I don't want to play with this guy anymore, like because they're just lone wolfing it, or things like that? Like, is there going to be like ways to balance out that quality of gameplay?
There's like a mute functionality, and I think there might be a block already, and if there's not, it's something that we want to add. So you could kind of go, like, I don't want to play with that guy on my team. You can report people if they're like trolling on purpose, but we're not, I don't know, we don't want to be prescriptive about how people are allowed to play the game. But I think that will partially come out in the matchmaking as well. I think people that are playing together and working together well will naturally progress up the matchmaking ranks, and then they will play more with people that are playing like they are. And the matchmaking also takes into account kind of pre-made teams versus solo queue, so it's not going to match like a 4-man solo queue with the same skill 4-man pre-made. So that is taken into account as well with the matchmaking algorithms that we use.
Like esports, it's a hot buzzword right now. It's kind of where everything is focusing. Are you, like, obviously a game like this would lend itself well towards being an esport, but is that something that you guys even concern yourselves with at this point, or are you just more concerned with making the game quality?
Yeah, I think right now we're just concerned with making the game as good as it can be. Like, certainly having it become an esport would be amazing. Like, that's the dream, right? But we're totally aware that that's not a decision that we make. That's a decision for the community to make. There's certainly features that we could add to help support that, and we have so many features that we want to add, like new characters and features post-launch, right? A massive backlog. And it's just a matter now of seeing what the community wants to do, what they're looking for, and seeing if where that matches with our backlog, and then prioritizing in the right order. Because we're still quite a small team, kind of probably 15, 20 people, something like that post-launch. So yeah, we need to prioritize and focus on the stuff that makes sense for our vision of the game and for what the community is asking for. So we would absolutely support that.
The other thing I really like about looking at Bleeding Edge is it's not a dystopian future. Things seem really lush and vibrant, like the characters themselves and their design, and also the world around them. Like it doesn't feel as heavy-handed as a lot of like futuristic sort of fighting games that you see out there today.
Yeah, I mean, the game is kind of tongue-in-cheek, right? We always knew from the beginning it was going to be kind of arcadey and fast-paced. And I wanted to create a kind of a positive atmosphere. Like, I want the game to feel fun and friendly, like going to the football field with a bunch of your mates and playing a game of footy and then going having a beer after. Like, that's the kind of the vibe of these guys. They're all mates and they're all in a club together. They're all friends, so we didn't want this kind of angry, gritty look and feel to the game. We wanted the look and feel to the game to match like the characters' personas and the kind of tongue-in-cheek nature of the game.
Obviously, you know, we were playing with people on the development team today, and you've got a bunch of people that play video games for a living here, but it was really pick up and play. Like, the minute we hopped in, we were all like communicating and we were working as a team, and like, even though I hadn't personally played the game before, like, we all kind of found that role like almost immediately, just knowing like game archetypes, and we're able to like get in there and have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you've played multiplayer games before, I think you can definitely sort of see the different support, damage dealer, or a tank, and you have some knowledge of how to play the game already, right? You're not going to run into 1 versus 3, or you're not going to sort of like charge in and sort of like lose your life for no reason. So I think for a lot of people, the game will be quite accessible just from the start, just because they play multiplayer games. And then for the rest of the people who perhaps don't play these type of games, we did a lot of stuff to sort of onboard them, like the stuff that I was saying before, teaching you about staying together as a team, the importance of having a healer. We've got things like, in the character select screen, if there's no healer on your team, we tell you there's no healer on a team, to try and educate you on how to play the game. So, we have spent a lot of time trying to add mechanics and add features to sort of help onboard the new player.
What's it been like working with Microsoft while developing Bleeding Edge? Like, how's that partnership been for you guys?
Basically, it's been only good for us. Like, day to day, working on the actual game, making the gameplay levels, whatever, it's had like no impact at all. It feels exactly the same as before. The thing where it has really made a difference is in all the support networks around the game, and having access to cool stuff like, sitting here today chatting with you, announcing the game at E3. When we go, oh, we haven't done multiplayer games, how do you do a beta? We can get on the phone to Rare and go, hey, you did a beta. What did you guys do? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? So we can kind of connect with other studios in the Microsoft family and kind of get some inside tips. And yeah, that's a really cool thing that you don't get as an indie studio.
Yeah, sort of just similar on that note. We get a lot of support with QA testing. We recently added some accessibility features in the game, and we had the Microsoft team sort of providing feedback about this is not right, you have to sort of add that. So it is just that sort of support infrastructure that we get. Like Rani sort of said, day to day, they don't really interfere with how we sort of design the game at all.
That's awesome. I love that you're just like calling up. That's fantastic. Like, you're like, hey, you guys made Sea of Thieves. Can you just hook us up?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, actually, when we first kind of joined the Microsoft family, Rare invited us, like the whole studio, the whole of Ninja Theory studio, to their studio, and we had like a big barbecue. It was really cool.
Big game around us.
Yeah, big game around us. I think we lost. We lost. Yeah, they're way better at rounders. That wasn't even their best team. Yeah, we got annihilated.
Oh my god, that sounds like the funnest party ever. When are folks gonna be able to get their hands on this?
Okay, so we've got Beta 2 coming up. It's starting on March the 13th, and it's going to go for the weekend. So you can get into that either by pre-ordering the game, or if you're on Xbox Game Pass, you'll be automatically in. And then the game's launching on March 24th.